Suicide Nothing Oknia. Welcome to Khmer Voices, where we shine a spotlight on the achievements of the Cambodian diaspora around the world. I'm your host, Van Ni, aka Vanny. Welcome to the one-year episode of Khmer Voices, Tang Oknia. You know, it's Canadian Thanksgiving long weekend, and I have so much to be thankful for. What a difference a year makes when you believe in what you're doing and give it your all. The decision to start and publish this podcast has changed my life. I've met incredible people all over the world, and I know I'm going to be connecting with more. And, you know, it's really contributed to elevating my mental health. It really has. When I started this podcast, I was simply going to interview Cambodian people about their journey on how they got to where they are professionally. But it's since morphed into a podcast that not only inspires at the professional level, but also when it comes to community involvement. So we discuss the impact they're making in the community, locally and or abroad. Let me take a moment to thank my childhood friends Sophie Lim Yang and Reet German for walking through the motions with me, going through the guest process with me, working out the kinks before recording official podcast episodes. Ladies, thank you so much for your time, and most of all, thank you for believing in me. And to my husband for keeping our two kids quiet during recordings. Anyone with young children know that that's not easy, right? Of course, the heart of this podcast is our people, us Khmers. And this all wouldn't have happened if my guests didn't say yes to opening up, sharing their journey, and being vulnerable. So this one-year anniversary episode is dedicated to them. And I am going to be sharing 12 key takeaways over the past year. So maybe you'd like to revisit an episode or listen to one you missed if you haven't caught them all. And you know what? If you go back and listen to my first few episodes, you can probably hear my profession and growth as a podcast host. I cringe hearing my first few episodes. You know, it's worth it. It's worth it to get to where I am now. And I know I still have lots of room for improvement. I'm only going to get better. And I hope I'm lucky enough for you to stick around for a long time to experience it with me. I can't thank you enough, Mamp'on Khmoy Khmoy, for listening to Khmer Voices and sharing our underrepresented stories. Alkuntran listeners and supporters. This is only one tiny way we're elevating our people, but this, along with everything else the diaspora is doing, it's making such a positive impact. I feel it. I see it. All right, so let's get started. We're going all the way back to episode 1. Tia M was my first guest, and she is a registered nurse, but that almost didn't happen. When she was in her last year of university, A, she was 7 months pregnant, and B, she got into a serious car accident while she was 7 months pregnant. And she was telling me how physically she recovered quickly. However, cognitively, she had some impairments and she had to learn how to learn again. Now, the takeaway that I want to highlight in this particular clip is that if you really want something, you'll make it happen, even if it takes longer than you anticipated.
Oh my gosh, I have to relearn how to learn. And I've always had a pretty photographic memory where I could just memorize things, and that's how I really got through school. So I really had to relearn, and then so it was really challenging. Mm-hmm. It wasn't easy. It took me several years to actually push through. And I had to give myself permission to not be able to go full time because I was trying to go back to school to finish that last year full time. Mm-hmm. And I learned to just spread it out. So I did finish a couple of years later, but I finished.
All right. Takeaway 2 comes from Suan Uth, who is a director of national recruitment and market development at Centennial College in Toronto, Canada. And she reminded us that words we hear and absorb can shape our beliefs and actions.
They just expected me to be the best because I was the youngest. And because I came to Canada when I was 3, I had the most education or English education of anybody in my family. So the expectation from everybody was that I had to be the best. So then I was, like in terms of grades. And my siblings' English level wasn't as high. So I would be editing university papers when I was in middle school, high school. So I already had experience with a lot of that before I went in, but they just expected it, and they just said, kept telling me, that I had to or that I was.
If you'd like to go back and listen to the rest of what Suan had to say, you can find her episode called What Next? Rediscovering Yourself. Okay, the third takeaway I'd like to share now is from Mary Leake, who is an IT lead coming from just outside of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And we talked about this in Suan's episode as well. It's regarding the importance of mentorship.
And so I went in, I'm like, hey, I hope this is the right decision. It was a really hard decision, like going to school for something and then not taking a job right in that field. I took a chance, I did it. Then I really I grew to love PMO, like the process part, and then there was an element of IT part of it because we were delivering IT projects, right? And so then I never settled. I just moved on up. And then, so now I'm like a project lead, a technical lead, and I lead the IT projects. So
awesome.
yeah.
And your mentor, she kind of guided you as well. Like, you don't think you would have had the confidence to say like, hey, I want this, I want to go to this next step if you didn't have her on your side?
Yeah. So she wasn't IT a person. She was just like a project manager, right? So what she gave me was the path to ask for something, and not settle for what they gave me as an intern. It's very slow progress when you just go by the rules. And so she gave me the tools necessary to reach the next level.
Sharing our stories on Khmer Voices, I hope that if you ever feel the desire to reach out for mentorship from one of the guests, that you actually do. All my guests to date would love to connect with a fellow Khmer and help in any way they can. Now, speaking of helping in any way, takeaway number 4 is from Soka Mov, who is French Cambodian and now residing in Phnom Penh, where she works at an NGO that provides a well-rounded education to girls from kindergarten to post-secondary. And she's also an advisor for Cambodia's Ministry of Labor and Vocational Training.
I would like to all the Cambodian in Canada or whatever they are in the world, whenever they feel like they can help the country to come back. We need skills, we need people, we need expertise, because the country is still very young. Actually, the war wasn't very far ago. We rebuild the country, but we need people to help rebuild it. I think if you love Cambodia, if you love the culture, just come, have a look. There's a lot of opportunity and many ways you can help the country.
Great. And that is in terms of skill set, pretty much everything.
Yeah, we need everyone can be in technical or less technical, because we always need advisor, consultant. Cambodia is developing very fast, and we want to be like one of the main actors in the region for the ASEAN. So there's many things going on that people doesn't know. Just give an example. We started what we call the 1.5 million jobs. So we encourage people in Cambodia to learn skills. so they can get a decent job and they can support their family and their community. So it's a free training that we provide to 1.5 million people. And there are so many things actually that is done, but to be honest with you, they are very bad in communication
Like they're
here.
not sharing it with the rest of the
So
world or even the rest of the country.
not, I think they try their best, but if there are some Cambodian people out there that are very good in communication and marketing, come, because we are doing so many things, so many good things, and we are not
Nobody
talking
knows
enough
about
about
it.
those good
Yeah.
things.
Nobody knows what you guys are up to.
Nobody knows about it. And outside the country, they see us like, oh, the Khmer Rouge and blah,
Exact.
blah, blah, the genocide and so on. I want to change that. Even the movie, we have Ritipan, we always do a movie about the Pol
Mm-hmm.
Pot and blah, blah. I said, no, you have so many young people, we have so many startups, we have so many project activities going on. It's very dynamic, it's very young. Actually, so many projects going on. Like now they start the Phnom Penh's art project, which is like a big cleaning, and they do some outreach in terms of how to be more responsible, more green, and so on. You have a lot of green initiative also here. Yeah, a Cambodian guy that developed EcoBrick. He's doing bricks with recycled plastic,
That's very
for
cool.
example. Yes, and, he builds houses, he builds warehouse, he builds restaurant with that. So they are really, it's so rich and it's so dynamic that
Do you
it's
have to know Khmer very well? I guess that would be a prerequisite. You learn when you're there.
yeah. Actually, I learn new word every day, but I only speak Khmer. I would say that my Khmer is honorable, but it's okay. Here you have a lot of people. Khmer people speaks very good English.
If you're interested in moving to Cambodia, and I think many of you are, maybe not right away, but maybe eventually in the future, Soka shares her challenges adapting to life there. And even though she's gone Khmer and she spoke the language fluently prior to making the move there, she realized the language had evolved. She actually spoke Khmer like someone from the 1960s, or, she spoke Khmer like her grandmother because that's who she learned from. But the takeaway I want to highlight here is that Cambodia is transforming fast. Soka's episode is called The Only Asian in the Class. You know what? She's not the last of my guests to mention this. Not the Asian in the class part, but Cambodia transforming fast. If you're so inclined to know who else mentioned it, feel free to reach out to me on social media or leave a comment on Spotify if you listen there. Now, takeaway number 5 comes from Gail Saw. He has got quite the resume. At the time we spoke, he was the COO and partner at a US-based firm focused on AI-driven digital transformation. But much of his time also involved, and it still does, a lot of it actually, building ecosystems and providing mentorship in accelerators and incubators in emerging markets, including, you guessed it, Cambodia.
My career started at 2 Fortune 100 companies. One was one of the largest, or if not the largest, electronics retailer in the world, Best Buy. They're still around.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second, so before I started grad school, I started working at Wells Fargo, which is, again, one of the largest financial institutions in the world. And between those two organizations, I just found out I'm just not a corporate person.
So then you went back to school.
I went back to school because one, my dad, we made that agreement.
Uh-huh.
Two, I've always enjoyed math and finance, and thought it was a good idea to just go ahead and get the degree, and also to build that network through grad school. Because I think oftentimes I don't know what's next. Like in terms of like the longer term picture, it's usually just the next few steps that I can see clearly, and I just go do that. And it's worked out so far.
it's reassuring to hear from someone with his sort of experience say that oftentimes he doesn't have a clear picture of where he's going, but just take action and do something. And eventually it leads to something good. Gail's episode is called The Cambodian Can Collector. Now, I'd like to end this celebratory episode with a young man from Seattle, Washington. He's a software engineer who cultivated a now thriving and popular book club, and this is where he found his community. And I wanted to end it with a young person because we're going to be passing on the 1.5 generation. We're going to be passing the torch on to this younger generation. And I just see so much hope and so much pride coming from that generation. And it fills my heart that we have people in our community already at that tender age working to keep our culture alive.
I think that the biggest thing is that it is possible to make an impact no matter what your background is. As if you have the heart for it and you have the passion, desire, the fire to make an impact, I generally think anybody can do it given the circumstances, right? And that speaking as someone who was a very lonely child, no financial means to get to where I am now, all kinds of factors that I can like say on and on that would have impeded me to get to where I'm at now. And the passion for community and empowering others and helping others and having a servant's heart, that led me to where I am and will continue to lead me to where I go. And I hope listeners take that and think, I don't need to be this hot shot, 6-figure salary, what have you person to make an impact in our communities, because I think just being a passionate individual is all you need in order to make something happen, whether it's for one person or 1,000, right? And impact, no matter how big or small it is an impact. And I think that we can all do something for our community. I truly do think at the end of the day, we are who we are because of the people that we surround ourselves with and the people that we help.
Akuntaran for listening. We have reached the end of this episode. But wait, you're probably wondering, didn't you say 12 takeaways? Yes, I did. So this is just part 1 of 2, and part 2 will be available in 2 weeks. If you're enjoying Khmer Voices, please give a 5-star rating wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps people find our stories. It really does. We'll be back in 2 weeks.